Good morning, everyone. This is Steel Rose's podcast. This podcast has been created for women by women to elevate women's voices. I hope everyone is doing well. As many of the U.S. listeners know, we are getting slammed with snow, and it's very sad because I thought we were ready for spring, and apparently not. But also very fun, clearly, because of the snow. A couple of things. I wanted to just quickly touch on, and I don't want to talk too much about the snow days and having to deal with all that. Although, you know what, maybe I'll just start there. I think the natural anxiety when you're a working mom and you know snow is coming is ultimately like it's real, right? Like immediately you're gonna feel that, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do for work? Like how am I gonna juggle all this? So I have a method where I essentially, and I think almost all moms do this, but they don't realize that they do it, is that you basically work at risk. You work as though there is a disaster coming all the time. So I started doing this when the kids were little because there was consistent situations where they were sick that like would throw me off. And so in order to prepare myself for that, to keep my job and make sure I was maintaining success, I would work as if there was a problem all the time. Does this mean that I work a lot? Yes, it does. But it also means that I'm able to maintain my career, which you guys know has been very important to me. So when they were little, I had to do it quite a bit more because they would get sick a lot and there really wasn't a lot of option for me wiggle room wise, right? So now what I do is um still work at risk, and then I will um try to get as much done the day before. So for example, for the snowstorm, I knew it was coming on Monday. So on Sunday, even though it's a weekend, I did work for about 4 hours or so to get myself ready for the week because I knew this is coming. I might as well just be prepared. Acting proactively when you're a working mom is probably the most important thing you can do because that's going to save your sanity. Making sure that you're thinking ahead and two steps ahead of everybody, like that's it. Like that's really the key. That's like the big secret ticket that people don't really talk about as much is that you have to consistently be two steps ahead. Now, this is tiring, be stressful, but once you're in the rhythm of it, it almost is like second nature. You just do it. If you really want to make sure that you're maintaining your success as a career woman, you're going to just pony up and you're going to do it. So Sunday, I spent about 4 hours or so working in the morning. When this happens, I usually will do it early in the morning. When the kids were younger, I would get up at 5 and work really, really early in the morning to prep myself up to be able to like pivot and, be present with them. In this instance, because the kids are older now, I can tell them, hey, mommy has to work for a couple hours this afternoon. And everybody's I mean, they don't love it, but they understand and they get it. And I've told you all before, I'm very honest with the kids. So I don't really sugarcoat anything. I tell them I have to work because I'm planning for the fact that you all are going to be home tomorrow. And I don't want to be crazy tomorrow. So I'm trying to be, work ahead here. I actually do hope that that is a little bit of a lesson that they end up taking away from themselves for future planning for themselves, because I think it's really critical I mean, even if you're not a working mom, it's really critical in general to have that skill of let me think ahead because it just prepares you. It sets you up for success. Now, on this whole note of setting yourself up for success, something else that I wanted to touch on too, and it's something that I've talked lightly on with some personal connections, and that's basically living as if. So, hear me out here because it's a little wonky, but like you'll understand it as I get through it. So, and I've talked about this before too, is that you want to act as if. So if you are, for example, I'm going to use myself as an example here, not really a romantic person, very realistic person. And I had found when I was younger, relationships really didn't work for me. It just wasn't my thing. I didn't really have good ones. I didn't have long-term boyfriends. Like I was not that person. That just wasn't me. Now I got to a certain point in my life where I was like, I really do want to have somebody. I want to have a significant other. So what do I need to do here? Well, I have to act as if, and I have to shift my energy to be in line with welcoming somebody into my life because up until I want to say 25 or so, I didn't have that energy. I had I'm an independent woman. Please don't wait. Nobody roll your eyes here because I know where this, I know where some other women might go here. I had this whole independent woman. I don't need anyone. I can do it all myself attitude, right? I still have that attitude a little bit, but I've opened up quite a bit here. So if you're operating as if I don't need anyone, I don't want anyone, I just, I don't need any of this, then you're basically sending out the message, I don't need anyone. I had to recalibrate my brain to be okay and comfortable with romance, love, being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is actually a huge element in relationships and in your marriage. Giving over that much of yourself. And this isn't just a physical thing, this is a pure emotion, soul, energy thing. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to really deeply get into a relationship with somebody that you trust. That was a huge step for me. And it's something that took years for me to really cultivate. Now, the starting point was me getting comfortable with romance and love, right? Because that actually was a leap for me. So I was able to achieve that. And then I met my husband a year later because it took a year of me clearing my energy to get there. But then even once I got there, well, I didn't know what to do. I don't know how to be in a relationship. I don't know what to do. So it was a really a recalibration of Jenny, how can you align yourself with this energy or with this emotion? Because you don't understand this or you haven't felt this before. How can we align ourselves with this? Right. So that was my relationship focused challenge, right? Now, other challenges that we have beyond relationships, because let's face it, ladies, a successful life doesn't necessarily include marriage and kids. You can do whatever you want here. I just used that as a barometer because that's where my focus had been when I was younger. So the alternative is, well, look at your life, take a step back. If you're saying out loud, I want to be healthy and I want to live a long life, but then you look at your life and you're drinking heavily and going out, you're not eating healthy, you're not exercising, you're just overall not taking care of yourself. Well, saying I want to be healthy and live a long life it contrasts with how you're living your life. So that's not going to line up. But if you really truly want it to line up, then you need to flip the script. You need to take a step back and say, what can I do that's achievable for me to be able to put me in alignment with this? Same goes for your career. If you're sitting there saying, well, I want a promotion, I deserve a promotion, I want to do better in my career, you take a step back and you're like, well, I'm doing my job, but I'm not really overachieving. Now, there's, I think, some confusion in professions across because right now, currently in the workforce, we have a generation of people who grew up in um, very deep toxic work culture where you just did whatever they told you, and it didn't matter if it threw off your work life balance. It didn't matter if it was toxic and abusive. You did it. You put your head down and you worked through it. So we have these folks now in leadership positions, right? And then coming in in the gate, we have all my young millennials. I'm an old millennial, so I can say this. We have all our young millennials coming in and starting their careers, and they're not of the same they're not cut from the same cloth. They didn't go through the same challenges that we went through in senior leadership, right? So there's a direct contrast to like what they see successful and then what we see successful. And then you'll see it too in like day-to-day work. At prior agencies, I had a lot of situations where I was, mentoring young, early 20 somethings who had graduated from college, been in the industry for a year. Immediately, they're like, well, I deserve a promotion. I've been here for a year. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, that's insane. I didn't even ask for a promotion until I was like 3 years in because I wanted to make sure I had exceeded and achieved above what my role was. Because there's a big difference between you're excelling and deserve a promotion versus you're doing your job. If you're doing your job, then you're doing your job. That's what you're there for. But you really need to show more above and beyond if you're looking for that. So those are like a couple areas where I see the most conflict and I see the most disconnect. And so, in order to really achieve what you want, what I encourage you to do is look at your current actions and look at how you're currently living your life. If you're looking to achieve something great, well, then let's take a step backwards. What are you currently doing that is going to influence and align you with what you actually want? That's the big key here. Everyone talks the talk, but can you, this is so cheesy, walk the walk? Think that through. If you have any like queries about this, or if you're like trying to run something through, I've said it before and I'll say it again here. I'm always open to people messaging me and saying, like, hey, this is kind of what I'm encountering. Like, what are your thoughts? I'm also very much open to topics for discussion. If you ever have something you're like, this is really irritating or this is really irritating, I would love to hear from you. I appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten thus far. Like, it's been incredibly helpful. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I really encourage you, again, if you're not seeing in your life the things that you want, then you do need to take a step back, reevaluate, reassess, and make the determination if any changes are needed in order for you to get to where you need to be. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you to all the new subscribers for the podcast. I am completely blown away by the amount of subscribers that have joined in February. I'm so grateful to all of you. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's incredibly motivating and inspiring and really does push me to want to do more and make sure that I am connecting with all of you. So thank you for being with me here today. I hope you all are doing well, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.